Happy Friday, Hoopers. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. And on today's show, we're going to take a look at the updated NBA buyout market, several players that could be heading to new teams soon. Most of these 10 players we're talking about have already been bought out. A couple of them are negotiating potential buyouts, so keep that in mind. Let's start with Russell Westbrook and get you guys caught up on the latest around the veteran guard who ended up in Utah after the trade deadline. He, of course, emerging as a strong buyout candidate, as several teams are reportedly interested. And for good reason. Russ is having a pretty solid year, actually. I actually don't think he was a big reason why the Lakers were having issues this year. He was just simply overpaid. He was on a max contract. He's not a max guy anymore. But 16 points per game, over 6 rebounds, 7.5 assists. Never going to be a great, efficient player in that regard. But he's a guy that can be a sixth man, can be a backup point guard. He was playing that role pretty well for L.A. this year. These 4 teams have been the teams linked to Russ the most. He's reportedly deciding between these teams. He's already visited with the Clippers. Bulls have been a team that he's been linked to heavily. Also Miami and Washington. Remember, a couple of years ago he played with the Wizards before getting traded to the Lakers, and he and Bradley Beal were actually a pretty strong duo, so would be interesting to link him back up with Beal and now Kristaps Porzingis out there in D.C. So what do you guys think? Which team will sign Russell Westbrook? If you think it's going to be the Chicago Bulls, type CHI. If you think it's going to be the Los Angeles Clippers, type LAC. The Miami Heat, type MIA. If you think it's going to be the Wizards, type WAS. Let us know in the comments, pinned comment on today's show, who will sign Russell Westbrook. Next up is one of his former teammates. That is Patrick Beverley, who got bought out by the Magic. He, of course, is looking for a new home, and he has never missed the playoffs in his NBA career, so you know he's going to try and sign with a contender. Doesn't give you a ton offensively. It was averaging 6.5 points per game for the Lakers this year. Okay three-point shooter, just under 35%, but obviously what he brings is positional versatility, can play point or the two, and is also a really, really good defender, proven playoff performer, so we'll see where Beverley ends up landing. Another guard here, that is John Wall, who ironically ended up back with the Rockets. They bought him out instantly after his time with the Clippers ends. I'll be curious to see where he ends up. There's been chatter if Westbrook doesn't land in Chicago, maybe that's where John Wall could go. So we'll see what happens. I do think there will be several teams interested in him. How about Kevin Love, who is still under contract with the Cavaliers, but reportedly are negotiating a buyout with the Cavs. Now, I know one team for sure is interested in Love. We'll get to that team in a second. But first, you look at his numbers. Obviously, a bit of a downtick this year, but still fairly efficient from 3, over 35%, averaging 8.5 points, almost 7 rebounds, just kind of phased out of the Cavs rotation. But you look as recently as last year when he averaged 13.6 points per game, shot 39% from 3. I still think he can be an effective stretch big on the right team. Shams Charania says the Heat are interested in Love. Now, before filming this today, despite the Heat's interest, apparently Cleveland doesn't want him to go to Miami. I don't know if just because they think that could be a team they face early in the playoffs. We'll see. So maybe part of a buyout agreement would be he wouldn't go to Miami. I'm not sure. So that's something the two parties have to work through as he continues to negotiate a buyout. Now, subscribe to us here at Chat Sports as we continue to bring you weekly NBA videos. A couple of videos per week here on the channel if you want the latest NBA news and rumors. All-Star Weekend is underway right now. We'll get you caught up on the latest here on the channel, so go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports. All right, we got Danny Green next up, as he, of course, started the year with the Grizzlies, was recovering from that gruesome injury last year. Can offer a 3-and-D presence to a veteran team. We'll see where he ends up going. I do think a team like the Lakers could make sense. Maybe the Dallas Mavericks. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Goran Dragic, like Kevin Love, has not completed a buyout, but there's chatter that the Bulls will buy him out, especially if they land Russell Westbrook or John Wall. They'll need to clear a roster spot, and Dragic could either get waived or bought out, which means he'd be available to sign with the team. Dragic this year has been okay for Chicago, 6.4 points per game, just under 3 assists. 42.5% from the field, 35% from three. He started out the season pretty hot, but he has certainly slowed down since. Could see him become available, and we'll see which team is interested in his services. BetUS is the place to go bet on all the festivities during NBA All-Star Weekend. All you got to do is create an account today by going to chatsports.com/bet, and you want to use our link because then you can plug in the promo code of chat125 to get a 125% deposit bonus. Put down $100, get $125 for free. It's the best deposit bonus deal out there when it comes to sports books. Go bet on the three-point contest, dunk contest, skills challenge, the game itself, chatsports.com/bet. Next up is Serge Ibaka, the longtime big who is searching for a new home. Seems like he's been around forever, but seems to always find himself on a playoff team come April, May, and even June. Obviously, wasn't doing much this year for Milwaukee. And, you kind of wonder, has Father Time caught up to Ibaka? He's only 33, 34, believe it or not, but he was playing in the NBA at 19 or 20 years old, so he's got a lot of mileage there. Not much of a shot blocker these days, kind of a stretch big that can take that corner three, but that's about it. Is Serge Ibaka washed? Kind of think he is. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Cast your votes down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think when it comes to Serge Ibaka. I don't think, however, that Will Barton is necessarily washed. I think he's a guy that can give you some 2-3 versatility, can play the 2, can play the 3, can handle the rock, score a little bit. Decent enough defender. I think Barton could help out a team looking to add a secondary scorer coming off the bench. Liked what he did for years with the Denver Nuggets, so we'll see what happens with him. Rashawn Holmes has been linked as a potential buyout candidate as he has not been in the Kings rotation this year. Really good role man offensively, can score around the basket with good touch. Doesn't give you a ton of defense, but he can score and he can rebound, so you've got that. And then George Hill, who hasn't done a ton this year, but he's played in a lot of big games in his career with Milwaukee, Cleveland, some other teams. So, if you need a veteran guard to come off your bench for cheap, I think George Hill's a decent option, a guy who can knock down a three-pointer as well. So there you have it, 10 buyout candidates in the NBA. It's been a strong list this year. Some certain guys have already signed, like Terrence Ross and Reggie Jackson. They've already found new homes, but still some notable names out there. What do you think, or who do you think is the best player on the buyout market right now? Go ahead and shout him out in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to the channel as we will continue to bring you the latest and greatest NBA news and rumors. We got you covered. Several videos per week here on the channel. If you like the NFL, tons of NFL content as well. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv.